Hello, everyone, and inside today's episode of Locked On Canadiens, we are talking the upcoming Rookie Showcase in Buffalo. Is David Reinbacher going to play? Who are the Wildcards, and who is going to be missing from the potential roster? All that and more inside today's show.
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 907 of Locked On Canadiens. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where you get your team every single day of the week. And that actually starts in 2 weeks. We'll be back to 5 shows a week. Of course, you can find us wherever you get your daily podcast on Google, Apple, Spotify, or if you're watching this on YouTube as well. I am your solo host today. I am, of course, Scott Matla here at Locked On Canadiens. My co-host is under the weather, so I am stepping in to run the show today to make sure you get what you were looking for after the long weekend here in North America. And let's get into a couple of little housekeeping things here. We have watched the draft video. We're going to kind of go over that, have our reactions to that, and our overall feelings about the video compared to last year. I know that we missed the mailbag last week, but we will have another one of those later on this week. We will get you caught up on anything that you might have missed in there and things that we promised on. But for today, I want to take a moment because I know the Rookie Showcase starts in just about a week and a half. It starts on Friday in about 10 days or so, if I have my timing right on everything here. I am very excited because the Rookie Showcase is the first semi-meaningful hockey of the year. We have gone... Let's see, the last games got played when? Middle of June there, not counting anything else. So I guess there are world championships. Anyways, the point being, I am excited about this because it is always fun to go into the Rookie Showcase. And last year was my first time getting to cover that in person here. And especially with the Canadiens being in the position they are, they have these top prospects. Last year, Juraj Slafkovsky was the one coming to this Rookie Showcase as the first overall pick in the NHL draft, and he asserted himself quite well in there. I thought he played really well in the games that he played here, and he looked like someone that you could understand what the Canadiens are doing with that pick. I don't expect him to be here this year, but we'll cover some of the missing names on the roster a little bit later on. I think the big one that everyone is focused on here is going to be 5th overall pick David Reinbacher, because, of course, why wouldn't that be the name that you are kind of fixated on here a little bit? I believe it was Cap Friendly, or I think it was Cap Friendly, that his NLA team, his Swiss League team, had loaned him back to the Montreal Canadiens. So I can only assume that he is probably traveling back here for rookie camp that takes place the few days before they come here to Buffalo to actually play. And the big question here is, I have no doubt that he's going to at least play a handful, 2 out of the 3 games that the Canadiens play at the Rookie Showcase here, or they may have some other agreement in place. I'm not 100% sure, but he is going to probably play some of these games here. He will go to rookie camp. He will be a part of the scrimmage there. And I think he'll play 1 or 2 of the games here in Buffalo at the showcase itself. The big question becomes, with David Reinbacher here, how long should the Montreal Canadiens kind of keep him in North America? The European leagues have already, begun. They've started their preseason. I don't 100% know on their regular season. I will have to clarify that with Patrick, because he is, of course, the expert for all things European hockey, especially in Sweden, Switzerland, Finland, etc. That's his wheelhouse. And as we've learned in the past here a little bit, is that sometimes the Canadiens, they bring these prospects over. We saw it with Matthias Norlinder. We've seen it with other players, that they may keep them here and they miss some of that preseason time, some of that acclimatization time with their teammates in Europe. and then they're a little bit behind, or they get a little dinged up in the preseason and can't go back to the league they were actually meant to play most of the time in here, and are now behind the 8 ball in that they can't get adjusted as quick as they need to get in the lineup for competitive games, actual competitive games, games that mean something once the season starts over in Europe. It happened to Emil Heineman last year a little bit. He played well, but then he was injured in the preseason. He missed time, and until he was healthy, he couldn't go back to Leksand to play in Sweden and missed a lot of time there. And that's crucial development time that he's missing out on in those games. And with David Reinbacher, they are investing a lot of him. They are investing a lot of long-term planning in David Reinbacher. And I think that's good. That is foresight. That is future planning for your franchise here. And the biggest thing I do not want to see them do is I do not want to see them, overdo it, I guess, a little bit. I don't want to see them kind of miss the boat on this and cost him development time, because there are still parts to David Reinbacher's game that need to be fleshed out and worked on. He is still very mature and poised for his age and the league that he's playing and the amount that he's playing, but there is a lot of potential for growth there. And you, as the Canadiens, you stuck your neck out on this pick here. And we've seen the draft video now. There was a lot of debate on this, in that we need the Canadiens to make sure that they are doing everything they can to make sure that David Reinbacher gets to the level he can be at here. And I think he's going to be a very solid player. And yes, I know I would have preferred a Leonard or a Mishkov. The whole Mishkov thing, which maybe we'll do an episode on that later on based on what's happening in the KHL with that right now. That's not really my place to speak on. You can listen to Locked On Flyers to get their take on it. They're very good at that. I want to make sure that they are doing what they can with these prospects, because they talk a lot about development and doing what is best for their players. And they have gotten significantly better in the player development side of things and handling the player development side of things. And I want that to continue here. And David Reinbacher is a case that I think a lot of fans, would be upset if he were playing in North America this year. Selfishly, I think I would like it because, okay, cool. I can watch him play very much likely with the Laval Rocket this year and be a fun showcase piece for that. But based on what he said and all the talk around this, that he wants to go back, finish his education, play another year in the Swiss League, play for, I believe is he Austrian? I'm going to get his nationality wrong here, and I apologize for that. But yeah, so he is Austrian. That's what I thought. I wanted to just double check on that. But the biggest thing is I want to make sure that he is getting every chance to develop properly here. And I think the Canadiens will do that. I think that we will see him play maybe one, maybe two. They're only playing 6 preseason games this year, thank God. Depending on how the it all shakes out a little bit here in terms of when the games are, I think we will see him suit up for at least one of those preseason games. They're going to give him a chance with some of these other guys. He'll play his 1 or 2 games, hopefully just the one, and then go back to Europe and go through all of this. I'm really excited to see him at the Rookie Showcase. So probably, and not unexpectedly, probably the most excited I've been about a prospect coming into that. I mean, Slafkovsky last year had a lot of hype around him, and he was a project. I look at Reinbacher, and I look at what he did in the development camp after the draft. They're paired with Lane Hudson, and I just see somebody that I want to see that cool, composed, professional style here. Someone who has a little bit more polish to his game than probably some of the other prospects that are going to be there. And you have teams like Ottawa. You have teams like Buffalo. I believe the Bruins are going to be there as well. You have other talented prospect pools that are coming in, and maybe some that lack some of that high-end piece. But how are you going to handle, I guess, especially against a team like the Senators, who are going to play that physical, nasty style, the Sabres, who have an extremely, extremely skilled prospect pool? David Reinbacher's going to have his tests here if he's playing a lot of games in this rookie tournament. I imagine, like I said, he'll play 2 to 3 here. I want to know what you think. How many games should he get in the preseason? Should he get no games in the preseason? Should he play all of them? Should he get a 9-game tryout? We want to hear from you. You can tweet us at LO_Canadiens. LockedOnCanadians@gmail.com if you have longer thoughts in the YouTube comments. Just don't be rude. That's all we ask. Please and thank you. However, there are going to be some missing names coming into this tournament just because there are rules, regulations, and everything else. And we're going to touch on all that coming up next. But first, today's show is brought to you by our friends at AG1. And if you want to start your morning right and get 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, nutrients, probiotics, everything you need to try AG1 because it is the best way to start your morning. And it makes me feel like I can take on anything that day because it gives me all the energy and focus that I need and the nutrition my body craves every single day, covering everything I could possibly want in breakfast. It's just one scoop in a glass of water in the morning, and that's it. There's not a million different pills, not a million different supplements. It's one scoop into a glass of water first thing in the morning, and you are ready to tackle your day. And it's less than $3 a day. Pretty good. Cheaper than buying a cup of coffee every single morning on the road. And if a comprehensive solution is what you want from your supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D supplement and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Just go to drinkag1.com/NHL network. That's drinkag1.com/NHL network today. We are back here at Locked On Canadiens. I am your host. I am Scott Malla. I am flying solo today. My co-host is unfortunately under the weather. We're talking Rookie Showcase expectations. Tournament's not that far off. We're about a week and a half away here in Buffalo, New York from that tournament. I can't wait to get back and watch this again. Talked a little bit about David Reinbacher in the first segment, and we should talk about who are some of the names that are going to be missing in this tournament here. And we're going to start with a couple of obvious ones. Bogdan Konyushkov, Alexander Gordin, and I believe, where is it on here? Dmitry Kostenko, the players playing in the KHL currently. Their season has started. I do not anticipate any of them being here. Konyushkov signed a new contract. He is in the KHL for the next couple years as well. Do not expect any of the Russian prospects to be in here for this tournament. I don't think that they would ever want to send them over here in the middle of their season for a few meaningless games, maybe a preseason game or two, and then they go back. I also, and unfortunately, this is the one that hurts me, is that you're not going to see Lane Hudson. You're not going to see Luke Tuck. You're not going to see, Jack Smith or Luke Middlestat. Or the goaltenders, Jacob Fowler, for instance, or no, Jakob Dobish will probably be there this year. But any of the NCAA players will unfortunately likely not be there. I believe they have to pay their own way if they want to go to rookie camp and to this tournament because of the NCAA rules, corrupt and stupid as it is. Unfortunately, the last thing any of the Habs want to do is accidentally disqualify one of their top prospects from playing in the NCAA this year. And don't get me wrong, I would love to see Lane Hudson-Reinbacher pairing brought back together for this tournament, but I do not believe we will see any of them there. That includes 2023 draft picks, Sam Harris as well. Like I said, we won't see Jacob Fowler there. Some of the names that I do think, or I also forgot Luke Tuck in there. My apologies for that as well. But I'm kind of going down the list here on elite prospects of the in the system pieces. And this is not everybody because a lot of the Rocket players are also kind of mixed into the Canadiens roster as it stands. But I am looking here. I see Miguel Torini is a name I would expect to be there. Would not expect Lucas Condata this year. Nathan Legale, no. I don't think you'll see Matthias Norlinder. Vincenz Rohrs missed the tournament last year due to injury in 67's training camp. I'm not anticipating him coming over from the Swiss League as well, where he transferred out of there. I do expect we'll see Jan Mysak again. I think we'll see Jared Davidson and Joshua Waugh, of course. Not anticipating to see Adam Engstrom as the SHL season is underway here. Obviously, Lane Hudson, no. Philippe Maillet is far too old. Philip Machar is a name that I'm curious if he comes for this tournament or not. And I think the big name that I'm keeping an eye on here is Owen Beck. Owen Beck should be one of those crown jewel showcase pieces again. He was last year. He was all over the place, arguably the best Canadiens prospect in this tournament. And I am very excited to see him with another year there. It seems like he's got another chip on his shoulder. He was originally left off the Team Canada roster and then just went on a heater, ended up back on it due to an injury, won a gold medal playing like 6 minutes a night because Team Canada didn't trust him to do more, and then just continue to be great. Same with Riley Kidney, who is not on this. I would expect to see Riley Kidney here as well. And I think the big two names that everyone's going to be keeping an eye on outside of David Reinbacher when he's here is going to be Joshua Watt and Owen Beck. Everyone has so much invested in Owen Beck, I think, that he shows all the hallmarks of being that really good potential Philip Deneau replacement down the line here. Defensively responsible, great in the faceoff dot, does all the little things right, and scores at a pretty good clip underneath that. And in addition to that, I think he's not the only OHL name you should keep an eye on at this tournament. Last year, I really liked Cedric Guindon in this tournament. It's up in the air kind of where he's going to slot in overall, but I think he's a name that's going to play a lot next year. And I think that's a good thing. He's someone who quietly impressed me last year. Now I'm actually looking at the Rocket roster here. You might see Yakov Novak is there. Let's see here. Jakob Dobish, maybe a guy like Zachary Amond. I think we will see Quentin Miller at this tournament too. You won't see, like I said, Jacob Fowler. You won't see the new Russian goalie they drafted as well. I'm forgetting Emma Kurto is also an NCAA player, so you won't see him. But I think you're going to see some of these other names sprinkled in here from the Rocket signing some of their ECHL guys who are, 22 years old. They're a little bit older than some of the rookies that are there, but they are still a rookie across the board. But in terms of names, everyone's going to be focusing on Beck, Wah, very likely Riley Kidney. And also, I'm going to keep an eye on a guy like Cedric Guindon here. Is he going to take that next step here? Because he played a lot with Colby Barlow last year, who was a top scorer in the OHL. What are we going to see from this? Because they went, I believe, 2-1 at the tournament last year. The Canadiens prospect pool there's a lot of things in here. And every year there's someone who steps up in a way. Pierre Dubé did really well at this tournament last year. I think Jared Davidson could fill that role as well. Is there anyone that you're sad that isn't going to be here? Let us know. Obviously, you can tweet us at @LO_Canadiens, etc. I'm so curious to see what this team looks like again this year. Jean-Francois Houle, head coach of the Laval Rocket, will be behind the bench again with his staff with this. And last year, obviously, everything was built around Slafkovsky being there. This year, they don't have that showcase piece. They have a lot of very good pieces, but they don't have the first overall piece in there. Will Philip Machar be here? If he is, it's expected that he should probably be another huge presence in this tournament. I thought he played well last year. And there's always one of these ECHL, AHL guys that stands out in such a way that instead of playing down a league, they fight their way up. Xavier Simoneau is going to be at this tournament, and God, is he going to be fun again. A little nuisance, especially to the Senators players and some of the Amerks players that he probably played against last year. Xavier Simoneau is going to absolutely drive people nuts. I'm very excited. And coming up in our final segment, we're going to talk the Wildcards. We've talked about the names that we should expect. Who's going to be the Arbor Jack Eye of this year? Who's going to be that player that stands out in such a way that they are irresistible? You can't miss it every time they step on the ice, for good or for bad. And that's all coming up in our final segment next. We are back here at Locked On Canadiens. We're talking the Wildcards in this upcoming rookie showcase here in Buffalo. And I got to be honest, the Wildcards is the fun part because you're never quite sure what you're going to get. You can get something, fun, like a Pierre Dubé or Xavier Simoneau who stepped up last year and were chaotic, but, played very well. Or you can get Arbor Jack Eye, who just goes out there and across that tournament got better every single game, but was such a physically imposing force. He couldn't help but draw. He was a heat magnet. If you've ever played MMORPGs, he was the one drawing all the aggro from everybody. Yeah, Lucas Condata got in a fight in one of those games last year, but Arbor Jackeye is the one who, from that preseason game against the Senators, pre-preseason game, we're going to say rookie tournament game, with one hit, he set an entire fan base and franchise against him for the entire year as a rookie. He threw one hit, knocked a guy out of the game for a little bit. That one was a clean hit. The second hit, where he was penalized for boarding, was not. Knocked out Zachary Massacott, and in just one of the most sickening sounds I've ever heard, like a hammer hitting meat, just set a whole course of things in motion. He would not be denied in the eyes of the Montreal Canadiens or in the eyes of any team who played against him. They saw that guy and went, he has that target on his back, rightly or wrongly. And the easiest thing to say in this is his brother going to be the same way? Florian Jackeye is apparently up to 6'4", according to Brantford Bulldogs weigh-ins this past year for their preseason camp. 68 games last year, he had 76 penalty minutes, only 25 points. He's not a big scoring guy. He's not going to be a big point producer. He's 19 years old, but I look at him as someone who has the potential to show I have room for growth here. We saw it from Jackeye in the preseason and in the tournament, and then of course in the regular season last year, where he was a physically imposing presence but added wrinkles to his game. Can Florian Jackeye be the same thing? I'm reading his elite prospects guide thing is up here. Around the net, he looks like a professional player. He doesn't just plant himself. He's moving his feet, getting his stick in different areas for deflections. Everything about that is there's someone who wants to be more than just a physical presence. But I absolutely know that last name, he is playing the Senators. They are going to hone in on this. And I do not think it's a good idea. It's that SpongeBob meme of how many times we have to teach you this lesson, old man. But with, Czech Canadian players who played for the Hamilton Bulldogs or Brantford Bulldogs now, just don't do it. I don't bite into the Florian Jackeye apple because you're not ready for it yet. And one of the other wild cards, and I don't know if they're going to be here or not, Oliver Kapanen is a name that I really like. He's somehow younger than I thought every single time that I look at his profile. He just turned 20 years old, and I could have sworn he was older than that. Played at just under a half point per game in Liga last year. He signed for Calpa again this year. He had a really good junior career under 20 career last year. He's someone that I think is going to be kind of a sneaky addition to the Canadiens prospect pool here. I think he's going to be a really fun add for the Laval Rocket after this Liga season. He's someone that they absolutely should add to that. I'm curious if he can be convinced to come over for this tournament. And I know we talked about taking players out of their European training camps and started their seasons to get them in here. But he's someone I want to see more of with my own two eyes, like in person, not on TV. It is so hard to judge on TV because you miss a lot of the little wrinkles that are happening out there. It's a lot of why I really fell in love with Owen Beck's game last year, because he makes smart reads. He's in the right spots. He's doing the right things on there that you don't always see on TV, the way that they're scanning the ice. And I realized there was a name on here and it's already slipped my mind again. But Emil Heineman, he was fantastic last year. He was a big presence before he got injured and then went back to Leksand. Then obviously came in and had that heater run with the Rocket last year. He's someone that I think, isn't really a wild card, but he and Philip Machar should be, along with Owen Beck, leading edge of just offense on this team here. Joshua Waugh should be there right as well. And then I think that second group behind there, I think Jared Davidson is going to be the Xavier Simoneau of this tournament, even though Xavier Simoneau will likely be here again. Davidson had a really another strong overage year in the WHL last year. He does a lot of things well, but nothing in a standout way. We've talked to scouting experts and they just go, there's nothing remarkable in his game that stands out, but he just puts up points. And some of that is, yeah, he's older, maybe a little more physically imposing than other players. He just turned 21 years old, so he's on an AHL contract this year. He's following that same path. 82 points in 60 games last year, 89 points in 64 the year before that, 23 points in 19 playoff games. Played a big role for the Seattle Thunderbirds. And I think he's going to be one of those undeniable forces that he's going to come in like Xavier Simeone. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. He's going to be feisty, and he's going to be in all the right areas to make things happen. And when you combine that with the fact that Xavier Simeone will also very likely be at this tournament again on an NHL deal, fighting for an NHL spot, which I very much think he could play NHL games this year, going to be a lot of fun. And in net, I'm very excited to see Jakub Dobeš play in person. I admittedly don't know a ton about goaltending physics and positioning and everything else. I have a rough idea of that because I have eyes and I know what goaltenders are supposed to do. But when we talked with Greg Ballack from EP Ringside about Jakub Dobeš, he's going to give you so many incredible performances, but he's also going to have those moments where you go, what are you doing? And it's interesting to see, is working with the professional coaching staff going to kind of hone him into those spots here. The goaltending is always going to be a wild card. I imagine we'll see Quentin Miller here. We'll see Jakub Dobeš. We may see Zachary Amond or Strauss Mann in this tournament as well. They always bring a good chunk of goalies here. Unfortunately, no Jacob Fowler, which makes me sad because as I watch that draft video, I've become such a big fan of his, even more so than I already was. I think that's going to kind of wrap where our show is at, though. My expectations for this tournament, don't get hurt. It's a rookie showcase. It's not worth it. It's 100% not worth it. Florian Jekaj will, be goaded into something. Senators fans and players, don't forget what happened last year with his brother. They're going to see Jekaj on the back of a Habs jersey, and they're going to go right for it. I don't think they should open that box, but the principles of mess around and find out are always very fun to watch play out in person. So if they want to challenge a 6'4" guy whose brother also likes to beat people up, go for it. I'm not going to, stop you from doing anything dumb. Sadly, no NCAA prospects just because of NCAA rules, stupid as they are. Sound off. Who are you most excited to watch at the Rookie Showcase? Tweet us at LO_Canadiens in the YouTube comments. Just, don't be rude. Longer form things, LockedOnCanadiens@gmail.com. I realized I forgot to put my name back up here. You can follow me at Scott Madla on Twitter. You can follow my co-host at The Active Stick on Twitter. She is, of course, under the weather, so it is just me today. She will be back later on this week. We're going to discuss that Habs draft video. We're going to recap the Habs Eyes on the Prize top 25, under 25. We're going to get to the mailbag. We have so much to cover with hockey right around the corner. And folks, I'm signing off, and we will see you all next time.